Hello guys, I'm Noob Dude. Today I'm here with Nocturna, team lead of Radiance team, creator of some fan games such as Five Nights at Chuck E. Cheese's Rebooted and The Return to Treasure Island, the remaster. Nocturna, would you like to introduce yourself?
What's up, YouTube? I'm Nocturna, and I do things like make games.
you, how long have you been making fan games?
Oh man. Alright, this is good. So I have a problem with rambling, so I apologize if
Hey man, it's an interview. You
uh
can ramble all you want.
I talk too long. So I started out in Roblox. I was doing Roblox for a little bit. I started this Roblox group called um oh man, I don't even remember what it was called. It was some Roblox group that I was doing with my friends, and we were doing things like Fnati like stuff in Roblox and all that. And eventually, I kind of moved out of that. I got too old for making games in Roblox, so I started. So for the record, I started that. The Roblox stuff started around 2015-ish, and then Radiance, in its early forms, came around 2016, early 2016. So I've been doing it for that long,
How
whichever
old?
one you want to pick.
How old were you when you started making Roblox fan games?
Oh
Games
man,
in general.
uh, probably 10 or 11 years old.
You mentioned you were making some Fnati games. Whatever. What were those games? I mispronounced it.
So, when Fnati, okay, so there's probably some things you aren't aware of. There's a lot of Fnati like inside terms and all that. So there's a revival called Fnati Found, which then got renamed to Abandoned Discovery Island. So that came out, and my little 11-year-old brain got really really obsessed with that. So I like had this. I wanted to like recreate it in Roblox. I didn't get very far with it, but that you can, if people know my Roblox account, I know people do. You can probably find the remains of that stuff. So it's really just early versions of Fnati being remade in Roblox with my friends.
Did you have any experience like beforehand, like making games, programming, or was that like your really first like big like hit into it?
That was my first like thing with it. I've always been a very um creative person. I didn't really have. It's gonna sound sad to say. I didn't really have a lot of friends growing up. So I kind of, it was just me and my brain. I had a lot of ambitions growing up. So, game development is one of the many things that I wanted to do, and it's one of the only things that has worked out.
Hey, so how'd you come to form Radiance, the Radiance team?
So back in the day when I was younger, I had two friends. Peyton Murdoch. He goes by Mr. Manatee now. I think he's doing his own thing. And then I had a friend named Lillian. I don't know what they're doing nowadays. Um, we again, Fnati Found came out, and we were like, I don't want to sound mean. I don't think we were very happy with how that game was coming out. So we decided that we wanted to do our own, and essentially we started this team to go with it. And it started out as it was a very stupid name. It was called Unicom because I think I wanted to like name it after like Capcom because at the time Resident Evil 7 was the demo for it came out, or the playable teaser. So I was really into Capcom. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna copy their name for no reason, and that happened. And then so that's the early version of Radiance. Now later down the line, a couple guys came in, and they had this team called Dark Secrets Games, and that's not around anymore. It's been years since I've heard that name. I don't even think people even know about it except for me. And Peyton, he wanted to like rename the team to fit the whole light theming, because the game was the team. So that team, Dark Secrets, wanted to collab with us. So we're like, okay. So they had like a light theme. That was like, oh, darkness. So what's the opposite of darkness? Oh, let's do radiance, because it's a form of a light, you know. And that's how the name Radiance came about, and it stuck. And that's kind of what we're known as now.
Yeah, that's a really funny way you got your name. Could you just let the people know what does Fanati mean?
Fanati means Five Nights at Treasure Island.
Oh, Treasure Island.
Uh,
Yeah, I got the I mixed up. So that's really interesting. Were you really inspired by when of the original Treasure Island came out by it?
oh man. uh, uh, to put in simple terms, yes. Fanati, for me and a lot of people, uh, Fanati has a lot more of influence than most people think. Fanati, when it came out, the first demo was uh, amazing to me and a lot of people. So yeah, it has definitely had a huge influence on me. I'd even go as far as to say it's probably had more of an influence than FNAF does for me.
It was
Even though it's
oh,
a fan game.
it was the first like fan game of its like type, like the first major fan game at the time, if I'm correct, or one of the first. Right?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a whole controversy. There's people are like, "Oh, this isn't really the first fan game. You know, this demo from 2014 is the first, actually." But you got to realize beforehand, you know, there was like only scratch remakes of FNAF 1 that existed before Fanati. There wasn't a real, quote unquote fan game. If you want to consider this stupid FPS shooter reskin with like NPCs that have Freddy textures put on it, where you just go around shooting them. If you want to consider the first FNAF fan game, go ahead.
You
But
know,
like Fanati was like it took the gameplay of FNAF, put its own spin on it, and it was that.
yeah, the last person I was talking to, Syncaruni, Dakota Wood, also mentioned that first fan game where, yeah, you shot around people. That's really funny. Uh,
Yeah, I don't agree with calling that the first fan game at all for obvious reasons, but people want to call it that, so whatever.
yeah, I think he mentioned that as well. So can you go a little bit more in depth about your guys' first project as a team?
So it started out with that Fanati revival that I brought up earlier.
Mhm.
That was in development hell for a while, mainly because we were all just like little kids that we didn't know what the hell we were doing. How were we supposed to make a game with what 6 nights, a free roam section, and all that? But we were in over our heads. We did it anyway. It didn't. The early versions of that were a pain in the ass. So that was our first thing. Our first released game, though, was... Oh, boy. I don't even remember what our first release game was.
Do you mind if I ask you how old were you guys when you first made Five Nights at Treasure Island's revival, and what did you use to make it?
Which revival? Are you talking about the 2021?
No, no, the first one, the
The
one where
first
just
one?
yeah.
Yeah, so that version of the game, I was about... So me, personally, I was about, I'd say 12, 13, maybe?
So you
Uh,
started young,
oh, yeah. Yeah, for better or worse, my entire teenage life was essentially robbed from me.
making fan games for your childhood. Could be
Yeah,
looked on fondly.
yeah.
Did you use ClickTeam Fusion to make it?
So I don't code. Peyton did back then. So Peyton was the programmer. I was the director. I was the one who put everything together, and Lillian was the modeler and all that. But we did use ClickTeam, yeah, back then.
Back then? Oh, that's cool. What would you say was like? Would you say you have any highlights or things you remember, like big things you remember from that first game that like really influenced you later down the line?
So that first version of Fanati essentially worked as the blueprint for the later one that came out in 2020, for better or worse. I don't really remember much. I have a lot of that blocked out of my head. Unfortunately, I that those years weren't great for me, so I kind of my brain has forced that out of my head. I just remember. I mean, I only really remember it because those were the early years of Radiance.
Oh yeah, okay. So, moving down the line, what would you say was your guys' first big project?
So our first like real deal big project
Real deal
was
big project.
uh well, if you want to be technical, we made this game called Running, which was this like 360 quote unquote free roam game where you run around for monsters, but no one knows that no one knows about that game. No one cares about it. So the first like project like got us on the map was the Fnati remake in 2020.
Fantasy remake in 20. Oh, that's nice. And speaking of which, I was about to go. I wanted to ask you some questions about that. Now, what inspired you to want to remake that game? Was it because Fnatic just had such like a big impact on you that you wanted to remake it? Because I know you also made it remakes of the previously versions.
Yes, so Fnati was like I said, it's very inspirational for me. Me, including a lot of other people. So Fnati was canceled at the time before we ever did anything with it, and it was in development hell. And we weren't exactly satisfied with that outcome for the game, especially because of its, I guess you could say, cultural significance of it. So I was like, we should finish this, and it spiraled down from there.
And that led you guys to creating the remake. That's really interesting. Uh,
Yeah.
what inspired you to do like change up certain parts of the game per se? Like, were there any things you changed about the game, like big changes from the original to the remat to the remake?
I mean, if you look at the first demo of Fnatic that came out in 2014, yeah, it's definitely different from the final product that came out in 2020. Um, I mean, yeah, we changed a lot. I think it really comes down to a simple answer of, things just change over time. Back then, if you look at the game, you can definitely see that this wouldn't work well if it was released in modern times whatsoever. Um, so that's the primary motivation for changing a lot of things. Unfortunately, a lot of people aren't happy with, they want things to be really faithful to like the original when it comes to remakes. But I don't agree with that. I feel like if you want to play the original, go play the original. If you want something new, then that's the whole point of the remake.
I can completely understand that because I remember I was recently looking at the wiki for Five Nights at the Chuck E. Cheese's, which we're gonna get to later. But
Yeah.
I know you guys made a remake of that game, and I also know somebody else made another that was a lot more faithful or like closer to the original with the Photoshop images. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm aware of that. Yeah.
yeah. So it's a situation like that. So moving back to Five Nights at Treasure Island, what were you looking for in the gameplay of the Knights?
So it's an interesting case because Treasure Island already has a lot of mechanics laid out, so and already created a lot for it. So we kind of based things off of that, and then it came down to we added things like the power meter, which isn't anything new. I guess I just took that from FNAF One. So essentially, when it comes to making our games, it's I look at things that I like, and I'm not trying to say I'm plagiarizing them. I take those things that I like from certain games and I paste them into our projects and kind of spin them into our own sort of thing. So it's me essentially. I don't know. I guess you could say I'm tributing those things. Like I take a lot of inspiration from other fan games. I know Pop Goes had some inspiration. I mean, no, Pop Go. I had some inspiration from Pop Goes when it came to making Chuckies. Um, but Fnati was mostly just kind of like FNAF 1 mixed with the original demo of Fnati.
Did the original demo of Fnatic, because I haven't seen a video of it in ages, did it
Mhm.
have the camera shutdown system like in the remake?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it did. it was a crude version of it, but yeah, it was there.
I really found that system interesting. Did you did you guys purposely I don't know how to say this, but think of the way how when you shut down a camera and you get a animatronic or a guy tune whatever they call tunes if I'm correct
Yeah.
come inside the room. Did you think of the panic that would cause moving your mouse to a camera you haven't shut down to shut down that camera so the guy goes in? When combining that with other things like Goofy and
Mhm.
the I'm sorry, what is the name of the guy with the eyes? Sits on your desk.
The face,
The
the
face,
face.
yeah,
You're
the face,
talking.
the face, the guy with the eyes. I'll just call him that. The guy with the eyes, the face.
Yeah.
How did,
Uh,
how did you work on combining all of them, sort of balancing them together? Because I'm always interested in how games come across balancing multiple characters so it goes out like a smoothly.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. We don't care about balancing unless it affects the main knights primarily, which is why often our custom knights are extremely hard. Now, over time, we've kind of changed our mindset on that. We're working on making things play a lot smoother. But when it came to the 2020 version of that, I simply did not care. So anything that, like, any panic or anything that caused is kind of coincidental. I didn't really think about that at all. I guess you could say. I mean, I guess I kind of knew that it would have been because Fanati, the cam shutoff mechanic is extremely similar to the play audio in FNAF 3,
Mm.
and which is funny because Fanati, the original demo, predated FNAF 3. Um, so I guess I kind of knew that it would be similar to that, but whatever you're bringing up, probably wasn't intentional for me.
No, yeah, because I just did a yeah I just replayed the remake. Now a character I'm really interested about, in hearing from you, Hourglass. Uh,
Hmm.
what I found it a bit interesting how how the sixth night is just him, but the only way you can discern him from how he's gonna attack is from where he starts on the cameras. Did you think that was gonna cause any issues for like players who didn't know how to find him on the cameras or his mechanics in general? Uh,
Yeah, so that's a funny story. Hourglass, that battle was the first like boss battle we ever did for a fan game. So, I remember he went through a lot of different versions, and I was very hands off with planning that, and essentially our coder came up with that last minute, and I'm not exactly proud of that night at all. In fact, the biggest complaint I see when it comes to the game is that night. So, it is handled a little bad, of course, but I do think that the ideas and themes presented in that night are very smart, and I'm happy that we went with them. I just think it could have been executed better.
yeah, I like the idea of Hourglass as a character and the gameplay of it. I just feel like, as you said, maybe it could have been incorporated a bit differently. So now, looking back, would you say there was any like big things about the game you would change now, knowing more from Chucky's and Oblivious Causa, or like anything you would
Mm.
change?
I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it when I
You
was
wouldn't have made it.
16 years old. I would have not made the
Yeah,
game.
I know you guys are
Um,
working on a remaster of
yeah,
remastering it, right?
yeah, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, but yeah, that's happening.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I wouldn't. That game is. I'm not fond of it like most people are. I do not like Fnati 2020 at all. I think it's horrible.
well, I feel like if you didn't have made that game, did you feel like it helped you give a foundation for what you would go on to make, you and your
Oh,
team?
absolutely. So that's the other side of
A
that
double-edged sword.
conversation. That I wish I didn't make it. Yes, but I also realized that our name we people if that in the alternate timeline where we didn't do it. I guarantee you right now this interview would not be happening. People probably wouldn't know who the hell we are.
Did you? I'm sorry. I'm just wondering. When you made the 2020 game, was it just you guys still in a team of three, or did the team grow over time?
The team has grown essentially a very. I don't think we would have been able to do it with just three people. It has grown. It went from three people to, and now in 2024, it is a little over 30.
Phew, okay. How many
Yeah.
people were working on 2020 at the time? If it's still
Um, if I had to give it, so that was the early state. That's when the team really started growing. So I'd say in 2020, the team was about maybe 15 people
50.
working on that game.
And could you tell me a little bit about the development process when you're working as a team of developers? The development process of making a FNAF fan game, because I know you're the director. You would probably
Yeah.
have a lot to say about this.
Um, so this is I get this question a lot because I mean unfortunately a lot of fan game teams do exist and they crash and burn very quickly. I'm not sure if you heard about the Fazbear Tycoon thing that happened recently where it got canceled after being in development hell for quite some time, which is sad. But I mean I'm not necessarily surprised. But my way of going about doing these projects with a large amount of people is I present an idea and I put people in a box, like a metaphorical box, and I'm saying, hey, do this idea, do not go outside of this box. And that seems to be the formula that works. Also, money is a big factor when it comes. I pay people now. We have employees, I guess. Um, but I mean, it's kind of hard to explain. It really comes down to luck sometimes. Luck and coincidences and all that. There's not really a good way to control it. You know, sometimes there's projects that just don't work out. I've probably canceled a good amount of projects that I mean, I'm not exactly proud that they're canceled, but there is projects on our resume that have never come out because of, just, things just don't go our way.
Could you give us some secret projects that we haven't heard of? The names of some?
Oh, there is a secret project that is out there that we have not revealed that it's us. It's
Did
out there. We haven't updated it in a while, but it is us and it's out there. I can't give the name because I don't want it to be ruined, but it is out there.
There's some on some Gamejolt page? Do you want to give us a hint? Like,
It's
could you give us a hint
it's
of what
not a
it could be?
game. It's
It's
not a
not a
game.
game.
It's not a game.
Okay. Are
Yeah.
you really secret here? All right. How long?
Yeah.
How long did it take you guys to develop the first the 2020 Treasure Island?
It started in the early phases of it, like the very early like stages of that started in 2018, but then it got really serious in 2019 and then it got released in 2020. So I'd say to be technical it was 2 years, but I'd say it was more like 1 year to make that game.
Where would you say the bulk of that like time development is spent? Like modeling, art, all that? Because I would think that would probably be where most of the time is spent.
Our process normally is getting voice acting done. Then we get a I write a document of the project that essentially changes over time. So I write an outline for what would happen, what we need, and all that, and then I get voice acting done. We get writing done first, of course, and then I get voice acting done. Then we get like slowly in between that time we'll do character concepts and all that, then modeling, and then we focus when it comes to FNAF fan games. We focus on the main cameras in the office, and then everything that's like really complicated or big after comes after that, and that the bigger stuff usually is what takes the most time.
Like, could you give us an example of some of this like bigger stuff?
Pirate Caverns in FNAF 2020.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Do you mind if I ask you
yeah,
really fast? I was just playing that.
yeah.
After 9-3, I believe, when you go down to the second floor on the elevator, and
Yeah.
is that Pluto just staring you down? Does he do
That
anything?
is that is
Or
an Easter egg.
that's
That
an
is an
Easter?
Easter egg.
I
Yeah.
I was so I thought because before it says if they don't have eyes, you just stand still. So I was
Oh
standing
yeah,
still.
that's the problem with that Easter egg. Yeah, that is an Easter egg.
I was standing still for like a minute straight because I was so afraid I was gonna get shot down. Speaking of
Yeah.
which, I gotta really congratulate you guys. You were the first fan game to scare me before the game actually launched. I double clicked.
Really?
I double click. I was in my files. I double clicked the application, and man, it
Mhm.
didn't. It didn't open for 15 seconds. I was so afraid. I just downloaded a virus, but
Oh.
after a while, it opened up. So, I'm safe. I'm safe. So,
Oh. So
yeah,
that's what scared you, not the
that's what's
actual game.
no, no, no. The game scared me too. That one though had me scared
Yeah.
for my computer. So,
Yeah.
so after Treasure Island 2020, what'd you guys start working on? Did you guys start working on the Chuck E. Cheese game?
Um, we started on shoot. So in secret, we started on Obelisk Casa, but the project that took our main priority was Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah.
Where'd you get the inspiration to remake the original Chuck E. Cheese game? That gem of a game.
The the inspiration. I think it's kind of a given. You know, FNAF exists, right? And it's based on Chuck E. Cheese. So why not just make Five Nights at Chuck E. Cheese? Which was the common, growing up, that was like the common funny joke to make
Yeah.
was to connect Chuck E. Cheese with FNAF. And for a while, I was really into the early stages of Chuck E. Cheese, like Pizza Time Theater and all that. Now the problem is, I wanted to do my own Chuck E. Cheese game when I was younger. Problem is that Photoshop game already existed. So I was like, oh, I can't make my own Five Nights at Chuck E. Cheese now because someone already did it. Um, so
Hey,
essentially, the idea was let's just take that game and make it our own. Um, that was the thought process. I got the original dev involved. Of course, the game is still based on the original game, but it is more of our own thing when it comes to that.
so I didn't play a video or see the original game, mainly because I couldn't
It's
find it down.
horrible.
Yeah,
It's
it's
horrible.
horrible. From what I'm guessing, I don't even want to play it. But yeah,
It is certainly a relic of its time. That's all I'll say.
well, at least the Five Nights at Chuck E. Cheese's name's not tainted completely since you guys
It's
managed to.
not. I wouldn't say it's tainted. No, that game is. It's not. I don't want to say it's god awful. Yes, but it has its own. I guess it brings its own thing to the table. I guess
Has its own,
it's like Tier TF1 if you've played that.
has its own charm, you could say.
um, I was trying to avoid that word, but yes, it does.
Yeah. So, did you, since this game was so bad, I'm sorry, so unique,
Yeah.
when you, when you guys, remade it, did you guys, have any features from that original game that you brought to the new one, the reboot, or
Yeah.
nothing at all?
So. Well, like I said, we got the original dev back. Before anything, we always get the permissions from the original devs to remake their project. We brought back the cast, of course. It's a Chuck E. Cheese game. Of course, we have to. So we brought back the door mechanic, the winding down door, where the door doesn't instantly close; it only slowly goes down. Brought that back. Um, Thematically, the new game is very similar to the original. It's essentially kind of Pasquale's still the Golden Freddy archetype and all that. Um, it's really the biggest change when it comes to Chuck E. Cheese rebooted is the fact that it's not bad and it's not Photoshop anymore.
Did the original have the stage call feature, as well?
No, the original had a vent mechanic, a closed vent thing. I I mean, I think it's pretty well known that a real establishment wouldn't have a child-sized vent in it. So to remove the FNAF archetype, we replaced it with the stage call.
Stage call, I like that feature. So one of the big defining things of this game, when you first load up to it, get inside, is the fact that the five animatronics are just sitting right in front of you, you and the cameras. What gave you that idea for that office setting? Because it's really unique and a really cool office.
So it's actually not unique. So I did bring up earlier I got
Oh,
inspired by Pop Goes. Pop
oh yeah.
Goes, you're in the same room with the animatronics. I directly lifted it from that. But the main the main idea is, so back then, Pizza Time Theater, when it first started out, um there wasn't security offices for this kind of thing. So in my opinion, it's realistic that the player is in the dining room guarding the things that you're watching over. So that's why the office is in the same exact place. That it's not even an office; it's the dining room. That's
Oh,
why you're in
truly.
the same exact It's why you're in the same exact place as the animatronics.
Now, as I was when I beat the game and I looked through the extras, I saw I saw the an alternate image of the office showing the five characters with different colored lights. Why did you switch from that to the design we have now?
So the early version of Chucky's was being made in Cinema 4D, and it was had a different modeler. His name was shoot, Andy 25. He's not around anymore. I, I think I fired him from the project. Not in a disrespectful way. There wasn't any bad blood or anything. I wasn't happy with the style the game had. I mean, if you look at the extras, it definitely wasn't what it is now. I just wasn't happy with how basic it looked. So I decided that, uh, let's just redo the entire thing in Blender, and that was that.
Did you? What were you thinking when designing the overall atmosphere? I can't say that. An atmosphere and mood of the pizza of the Chuck E. Cheese's pizzeria, of like the dark
Uh,
and gloomy, sort of, yeah, gloomy, I guess that you could say, way of it.
FNAF 1, essentially. We just copied FNAF 1. A lot of the atmosphere, like the ambient sounds, are directly inspired by the original Chuck E. Cheese game, and all that. So, I mean, the original and FNAF 1 is essentially what the inspiration for that is.
Did you change any of the characters' behaviors? Well, before I say that, costume, a character that I feel like the game got a lot of attention from because he holds the door open. Was
Oh,
that
yeah.
in was that in the original game?
No, but there was, so costume is essentially the new version. So in the original game there is a closet in the office that has an older version of Chuck E. Cheese in it. And I found that, so in real life, Chuck E. Cheese destroys every old thing that they have. They do not leave anything lying around. So I felt that to be realistic, let's replace the withered Chucky with a Chuck E. Cheese costume, because that's what they would have had. So that's what he is, but the mechanic is completely different
Oh,
and all that.
I just have to ask this. I'm not deep into the lore. Is he a robot or a person?
Mm, he's not a robot. That's all I'll say. He's just a costume.
Just a costume? All right, I'm not gonna.
He's just a costume.
Just a ghost in a costume. Okay,
And
so
not a ghost, not a ghost
not
in
a
a
ghost,
just a costume.
just a
That's
costume.
it.
Now,
Yeah.
I remember you were saying previously how you don't really balance your games based on the original, like, first, like, 5 6 nights or whatever. Uh, do you really say your games are you put a lot more emphasis on the custom nights and the custom characters? Because I know are a lot of custom characters in Five Nights at Chuck E. Cheese's.
It's funny you say that. I don't play FNAF fan games for the custom night, and there's a dedicated community that does. I do not care about custom nights. Now, from a gameplay standpoint, I have to care. So I do force myself to care by putting in custom night unlockable enemies and all that. But me personally, I don't see the point. I guess it's just point. I guess it's just extra replayability, but I don't care about that kind of thing. I care about the main story when it comes to games like this, and that's it.
Yeah, I exactly agree with you. When I play a fan game, what really strikes to me is how the main Five Nights or whatever are,
Hmm.
and I can agree with you on that. So speaking of which, the gameplay of the Five Nights, how'd you guys go across doing that? I'm just gonna state my opinions right now. I felt like it was really I felt like it was cool in the way that you had to deal with Helen and Jasper showing up in front of you doing the stage call,
Hmm. Um.
having to watch costume and look for Mr. Munch. But I felt like if
Mhm.
once you really understood how to do it or understood how all the characters worked, it became a cakewalk. But I wanted to ask. Yep.
That's a common thing people say about our games. The thing is that it doesn't feel like a cakewalk until like you play it the second time over again. And that's kind of the magic of it to me. I feel like the you could say the same for FNAF 1 basically.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, FNAF 1 is kind of the most boring game in the franchise now. But back then, that game was terrifying, man.
Oh, it was
Um
crazy. Yeah.
um so it's just, I mean, I get what you're saying. It's just I kind of try to embody that magic. I like the first playthrough is what matters the most to me, always. Anything else besides that, whatever. So I mean, not to sound like an ass, but
Oh yeah, you feel like the first playthrough, that's the most important. That's really what you're trying to get.
exact. I mean,
That's where you want to hook the player.
yeah. I mean, the same could be said for movies.
Hmm.
When you watch a movie over again, it's you already know what's going to happen. So it's always the first watch of a movie for me is the most important, and if I feel like rewatching it, I'll probably do it in like 2 years.
Yeah, I can agree. Now I wanted to add because I found this quite kind of interesting. Why did you only have Chucky be the only animatronic that comes up to the gate? I mean, costume also does, but he doesn't really attack from there.
Hmm. Um, I don't know. I would say, oh well, I mean, in the original game he does that, so I would assume that's probably why we did it.
Yeah, because I felt like Helen was gonna be coming, but instead, no, that sounds so bad. I'm sorry, but she turns around. Yeah, yeah. Please,
Okay, buddy.
I'm not gonna cut that out. But
All
I
right,
don't.
you were saying.
Yeah, okay. So, she comes back when you turn around. I should have said.
Yeah.
To why did you make it like that where she only comes out
S-
after you turn around?
Again, so the original game, Helen and Jasper come from the vent mechanic that I explained earlier. So we essentially translated both of them over to the new mechanic. So they're basically the same, except the way you deal with them is different.
Okay. Oh, all right. That's interesting. And how many people
Yeah.
did? Now talking about the development of this game, how many people did you have working on this?
Oh boy. It was me, Lillian, Peyton, Decimate. There was a guy named. Oh man, what is his name now? I forget. The Black Sign. The Black Sign did the room. So in total, and I would say to be safe. I mean, I just listed 5 people, but to be safe, because we usually get extra side people just in case. I'd say probably 7 people worked on that game.
So, back to what you were saying about how many people working on it.
Yeah, we 7 people. I'd say around that number. Um,
Oh, so that's a big drop from 15 before in
ye-
2020.
yeah. It's 2020. It's a big drop because 2020 was a very big project for us. It was our first like thing that we did, at like of that caliber. So there was a lot more people involved. I guess I mean, of course, there's development reasons, but I guess for safety measures too. I guess.
What do you mean by safety measures?
There is a lot of so during development time, there is always the chance of someone quitting, leaving, getting fired, just in case we need work redone or we want things to come out a different way. There's always extra people on the side just in case. That is the unfortunate truth about these games most of the time, is that we do go through a lot of people sometimes.
Oh yeah, a lot of infighting or controversy.
Not not
Oh,
not
infighting.
infighting, not well, I mean, controversy, yes. Unfortunately, I have to say yes to controversy when it comes to us. For other developers, probably not. I'm not sure how well versed you are in the Radiance lore, but
No, I'm not.
we've been through quite a bit. I'm sure people watching this will know. Um, but not not controversy when it comes to in the team. Outside of the team, there is controversy. Um, Infighting, no, we get along pretty well. We're usually like-minded people. If there is something like that, it gets taken care of as soon as possible.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Sounds
yeah.
sounds good. So, would you say there's anything you would like to point out, like that a lot of people don't really pay attention to at Chucky's? Maybe something, an Easter egg here or there, or gameplay feature.
There is one Easter egg in that game that nobody has found to this day, I'm pretty sure.
Can can you say something
It's
about that? Like, just
it's they're literally the only Easter egg in the game, too.
it's the only Easter.
It's
Is
the only Easter egg in the game.
Do you want to say anything about it that might help the people find it, or?
Um, I think actually no wait, maybe one. I think one person found it, but they thought it was. I think that everyone that saw that post thought it was a joke. So I think it was found, but it's technically not really well known. There is, but I mean, it is a joke Easter egg, but it is in the game. That's pretty much all I would say without spoiling it.
Okay, so hit it well. Now,
Yeah.
can you tell us a bit about the development process of Chucky's? Like what you spend the most time on? How'd you go across like the timeline?
Um, so it started out with that Cinema 4D version. Then I got the Black Sign to come in. The Black Sign is a really talented guy. He made he made a game. Hold on, what is it called? I think it's called the Last Sigh. Let me look it up right now. Actually, he's a really talented environment modeler, and he's a really talented modeler in general. But I talked to him. My friend Ultra Knight got me in contact with him, and we made he got on the team to make the rooms. And then after that, I got Decimate, who was our who used to be our main texturer for the Fnatic characters. I got him to make the new Chucky cast, and then we went from there.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Now, before we move on, I gotta ask you, what is your favorite Chucky member out of the cast?
Oh man. I'm not a fan of the modern Chuck E. Cheese. So if we're gonna talk this, I have to talk like the original, like 70s Chuck E. Cheese and 80s Chuck E. Cheese.
We're
I'd probably
talking
say
in game.
Munch Junior. Munch Junior is my favorite.
Munch Jr. All right, sounds good. So
Munch
now,
Jr.
Munch, what a name. Okay,
Yeah.
now I just want to quickly go back to Treasure Island real fast and ask you about some things. When you turn off the lights, uh, if you turn it off for too long, that you block you can't turn them back on. Correct?
If you keep them off for too long, they
Yeah.
the fuse blows. Yeah, and
Why?
you can't turn them back on.
What'd you think of adding that feature so people don't like stay in the hide in the dark too long, save too much power?
Uh, it was kind of a cop out, to be honest. It's just, hey, don't do this, and no, oh, let's just we just put a band-aid over it to essentially so people don't cheese the game. But it does realistically make sense. Older buildings don't exactly have the most reliable light sources, so I would assume if you fidget with a light switch too much, or if anything like that, it might not turn back on. I know from my experience, sometimes that happens. So, I mean, yeah, that was the logic behind that.
Okay, yep, that's interesting. So now moving on, Oblitus Cat, Kaza. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah, I'm American, so I say oblitus casa.
Casa.
I've gotten made. My girlfriend makes fun of me for saying it that way. She says I sound like I'm saying it like oblitus casa,
Casa.
but yeah. But that's how I say it. Yeah, I mean you're pronouncing it pretty much right. Yeah.
Now I briefly played it. I haven't had the full time to fully do a full gameplay
Hmm.
full playthrough of it, but I have seen playthroughs of it. I've seen Playing Trace's video, which shout out to that guy. He's a great YouTuber. But
Yeah. Mhm.
I wanted to ask you, why'd you make Oblivious Casa? Why'd you make a part two to Treasure Island? What made
So,
you want to do that?
all right. Let me ask you a random question right now. Are you familiar with the Return to Freddy's?
Return to Freddy's. I've heard the
The
name. I've heard the name,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay, so trust me. This is going somewhere. Okay, don't.
Okay.
This isn't random. Um, the Return to Freddy's is kind of historically known as one of the worst fan game franchises of all time.
Oh no,
Um,
I've seen the video on it. I believe. Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
not to offend the fan base of it because there is a fan base, and I am in that fan base. But it's known as the so bad it's good fan game,
Excuse me if
basically.
I'm wrong, but was there a mega cancer in it?
It was called Super
Super
Cancer. Yes,
super cancer. Yeah.
there is super cancer in the lore. Yes.
So-
Um.
okay, I want to see how
So
this relates to Blitz Casa.
so let me fill you in on. So the Return to Freddy's is at is on that level of the fandom where it's just kind of known as garbage. Fanati was on that level, the same exact level for the longest time. So when we made Fanati 2020, we did not think people would like it at all. Um, and unfortunately, I was proven wrong. So we didn't really plan a sequel. Um, we put a cutscene in the game that teased that something could happen after. But I mean, it didn't really mean anything. It was just there to see if people wanted a sequel, and of course, the response to that was yes. So we went ahead and did it.
Oh,
And that's how Casa came about. That's the Return to Freddy's weird relation to Fanati.
did you have
Yeah.
to like change did you have to change up the story in big way? Because I remember in your blog post about your remake of the 2020 game how you're changing some things about the story.
Yeah, so Fanati historically has been through many. So the original 2014 version has absolutely nothing. Has no story there whatsoever. Now people will disagree with me and they'll say, "Oh, well, what about this? What about this?" Anart, the original creator of the game, has gone on record saying he had nothing intended for that lore, and that's what I'm regurgitating here. So, when later developers came in before us, they wrote a lore to go with it. I really like that lore, and that's kind of what we're going with now. The problem is, my grubby little 16-year-old writing skills got a hold of it, and I kind of messed it up a little bit in 2020, and then I changed it for Casa to make more, I guess, to fill up to fit my standards now, and I think it is the definitive version of the lore. So yes, Casa in a way is a requel, if you know what that means.
Uh, a requel? No, I no, I have no clue. You gotta fill
Are
me in.
you are you familiar with the Evil Dead franchise, the movie franchise? Are you familiar with that at all?
Yeah. Mhm.
Evil Dead 2 is essentially it serves as a sequel, yes, but the it redoes the entry that came before it,
Oh.
basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. So, uh, the gameplay about Oblivious Cause, the gameplay of Oblivious Cause, Kaza, as you would say, um,
Yeah.
with the whole notepad feature, from where I remember you had to erase things. My memories bleed. I have the memory of a mosquito. Um, The gameplay, from what I remember though, is really different from the games before. Could you fill us in on that?
The gameplay is so. Let me go back again. I sound like an old man right now. Um, Fnati in 2014 when the demo came out, that was really innovative for the time. Like shutting off a camera and hiding under the desk, that was like amazing for 2014. So that for that time standards, it was innovative. So I was like, if I'm gonna do a sequel, I have to make it innovative in that same way. Now, of course, innovative nowadays means something completely different than it did back then. So Casa kind of has this. Uh, it's very. If someone told you that the person, I don't do drugs, okay, but if someone told you that the person who came up with these mechanics was on something, I guarantee you, probably someone would believe it. So the mechanics are very out there. It's very odd. I'd say it works in its favor, but it's definitely me scraping the bottom of the barrel to make sure that this game is like something interesting, you know?
Are you happy about those mechanics? How they turned out? Or
Absolutely, yeah. I'm very. I don't have any complaints about how that game has turned out whatsoever.
okay, that's really cool. Now, how was the development process of Kaza any different from the others? Because I know now you're working with a like much bigger team. The credits list goes on for ages. Was working on
I'd
it
say,
different?
yeah. It Casa had its fair share of development hell. Uh, so during that time, early 2021, I'd say, Peyton left the team, and he was the original coder for the game, and he took the MFA for it with him, which
Uh,
means that we essentially had to restart the entire coding process for the game.
what's the MFA?
Uh, the MFA is the file that we make the game in Click Team.
Oh,
That's what we program it
oh,
with.
he just stole it, just ran.
Not I wouldn't say stole it. Me and Peyton kind of had a falling out friendship wise, and he wasn't comfortable working with me anymore. I'm not trying to like dump any personal drama here,
Oh yeah.
but I have to explain this bluntly. We had a falling out, and he just didn't want us. He didn't want to help us anymore, so he took the MFA with him. And I respect his. I can understand why he did that. But we did have to restart the game, and then we restarted it a second time because the version we released in 2021 was god awful.
Uh, s-
um,
how was the process redoing that version to 2.0?
2.0 was that the process of it was kind of annoying because we already redid the game once before. Um, but I mean, Oblivious Castle 1.0 is I see that as one of the greatest failures in my career. Um,
What was,
of
what
course,
what do you think so bad about it?
it was too many cooks. Are you familiar with that term
No.
to describe?
Oh, I think
There was
too
too
many.
many
Yeah,
too
too
ma-
many cooks. Too
too
many.
many cooks in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Um, there was just too much things going on, and it caused the game to be buggy, unstable. It wasn't fully thought out. It was very. It just didn't come out right. Um, I don't even like I. It's exhausting to even think about right now. It just didn't come out right. But 2.0 fixed that. Yay, we're all good now.
2.0 is sort of like a more. You took a lot of the
It took the
details from 1.0 and fixed
it
them,
took the
you would say.
problems. It took the problems from 1.0 and the complaints that we got, and I'd say fix them. Yeah, I know some people aren't happy with some of the changes we've made, but I mean, for the most part, the game is a lot better now. I'd say.
Okay. So now, before we start wrapping up, uh, I want to ask you, what was like, what was the most memorable experience you've had so far in your history of Team Radiance? Radiance.
The most memorable. I find the entire thing memorable. I mean, my memory isn't great. I'm actually like I have a concerning my memory span is kind of concerning. It's very small. Like I can't even remember what I did yesterday, to be honest with you. But uh I kind of remember a lot of what goes on in Radiance. Some of it's bad. Being on Radiance has caused a lot of issues for me personally, but I wouldn't say that it makes me want to quit. But I'm happy with how it's turned out. We've gone from a team of 3 teenagers to I'm 21 now, and I'm making money off of this now. Not a substantial amount, but it's kind of a second job for me now, which I enjoy.
Oh, do you guys have a Patreon or?
No, we Gamejolt has a creator program
Oh,
where they pay us monthly for I don't want to like nerd out and explain that. I guess they pay us monthly for fans give us stickers. They call them stickers, which is they put these like little images on
oh, well,
our like posts and all.
like those TikTok
Y-
lives, like those chicken whatever.
yeah. Whatever that is.
Okay, I don't
I'm
want.
not.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
want to
not
really.
familiar with TikTok.
No, you
Not
know,
familiar with TikTok.
the NPC streams,
Uh,
so whatever those things are.
yeah. I know what you're talking about, but yeah, we do that. Except we don't. We still have dignity doing that.
You still
Yeah.
gotta keep your dignity.
We
Keep your
have our
job.
humanity still, but yeah, we do it in the respectable way, and we make money off of that.
Okay, so all right, that's very interesting. Now,
Yeah,
would you have a favorite character from the whole Oblivious Kaza, Kaza? We gotta get over this. We gotta choose one.
yeah.
I'm just gonna go
Uh,
Kaza. A favorite,
I love.
a favorite character.
Go ahead. Favorite character? I love the face. The face is my favorite character ever.
The face, what I call him earlier,
The,
the guy of the
guy
eyes.
with. Yeah, the face. He's the greatest character ever to ever grace a fan game.
Yeah, just his droopy face looking down on you on the desk. So
Yeah, he's he's so dumb looking, man. It's amazing.
I wouldn't change a thing about him. So
Yeah.
before we go, would you like to say bring up anything or talk about anything?
Yeah, we have a new game coming out soon. It's
Oh,
called
yeah.
Five Nights to Remember.
I forgot
Yeah,
to mention
it's-
that. Yeah, I was looking at that game. I was really interested in it. Can you tell us about that?
So Five Nights to Remember is us essentially taking our standards and throwing them in the garbage. um, Five Nights to Remember is basically the opposite. Not. I'm not saying this in a bad way. It is a. I don't. What is the? It's like a social experiment, kind of. It's essentially me taking what I've learned and dumbing it down. It's basically the opposite of Oblivious Casa, and Oblivious Casas are very, very interesting and innovative, whereas Fernur is going back to basics.
Oh, have you played?
It's,
Have you played the fan game that came out a few months back, The Return to Bloody Nights?
I don't play fan games, believe it or not. So no,
Really?
I have not.
Oh,
I do
why
not
is
play
that?
fan game. I here's the fun. Here, I'm gonna make it even sound even worse. I don't play video games most of the time.
Who?
I'm not. I'm not too big on that.
So, but if you're not too big into video games, why do you lead one of the biggest teams in fan game in FNAF fan games?
I wanted to direct movies when I was growing up, and then I realized the reality of that. How that I have to probably go to school and I have to have the credentials for that. And I realized that I'm probably never going to be able to do that. So making games is easier.
Making games easier?
Making games is easier. Yes.
Why? You just don't have an interest in actually playing them though? Is that what you're saying?
I like video games. I like Hotline Miami. I like Silent Hill. What else? My girlfriend, her game. Well, it's not her game. Her friends. I think some people she knew made it. It's called Super Raft Boat. I played that recently. That was pretty fun.
Do you have a favorite?
I don't.
game?
A favorite game? Oh shoot. I like Hotline Miami is probably one of my favorite games of all time.
Oh, it's one of the
Have you heard-
toughest. Yeah, I played it before. It's one of the toughest questions for me too. probably Metal Gear Solid 5. But so going back to I'm sorry, what was the name of your new fan game you're working on right now?
Five Nights to Remember, and we're also working on Finati again.
I have horrible
If that
memory, like
means
you
that.
do. So,
Yeah.
you said you're returning more to basics, more to like basic
Yeah,
FNAF, right?
we're essentially making a tribute to Five Nights at Freddy's 1 to 4.
Is it
Yeah.
when you say 1 through 4? Do you mean the gameplay is going to change throughout the nights, and or
No. It's more like the general aesthetic of Five Nights at Freddy's 1 through 4. You know, like the basic, like before the before Scott kind of took the franchise in a different direction. You know.
yeah? Do you mind if I ask? Do you have a favorite FNAF, official FNAF game, of yours?
Do you want me to do you want me to make you angry again? Because I
Uh,
can do that. I don't really like FNAF
you don't
anymore.
you don't really like FNAF anymore. Did you
No,
play
I don't.
Did you play the main games?
When I was younger, yes, I really liked FNAF 3. So I would say that's probably my favorite if we're gonna be play the question safe, but I don't find them enjoyable anymore. They're very boring to me now that I know what happens in them. But I mean, I do like FNAF. FNAF 3 will always hold a special place in my heart, you know.
Okay, so something just popped back to me. Moving back to Five Nights at the Chuck E. Cheese. Uh, the mini game at the ends of one of nights 1 through 4, where you gotta find
Mhm.
the items. Looking away from Krusty the Cat.
Mhm.
Yeah, Krusty the Cat. Uh, how'd you guys come up with that mini game idea? Why'd you guys add it?
Um so the standard for our games is there's always has to be something post night that you have to play. I find that putting something after the nights not only helps the play. Oh, no, I wouldn't say that helps them cool off. It gives them a break from the repetitiveness of nights 1 through 5. You know, because that can get very annoying after a while. Um, I find that putting something after that is helps the game pacing a lot, and also it gives it more variety. So for that specifically, I came up with that finding thing. I would say I probably got inspired off of like there's these mobile games on the App Store that you have to like
Oh,
it's like very basic stuff where you have to find things. I was like, what if I took that and put it in a FNAF theming kind of thing? So it was pretty much that. And plus, I don't think anyone's really done that before. Like finding objects in a FNAF game, that's not really like a thing. I'm pretty sure.
that one of the biggest fan games. You know, it was free roam. The four animatronics. I'm drawing a blank here. One of the biggest fan games. It was early on the
I don't know what you're talking about,
it was
unfortunately.
broken. I'm sorry. I'll
I
get back.
got
I'll look it up later. But so
yeah.
Krusty the Cat. Where'd you come up with him?
We did not come up with him. He's
You did.
he's a Chuck E. Cheese character.
Oh, really? I
So
is
so
he is
well,
he?
let me explain for the people out there that don't know. Before Mr. Munch came along, uh, Chucky had a cat friend named Krusty. That was essentially the how like Garfield has Odie. That's what Krusty was basically.
He was like the sidekick, pretty much.
Yeah,
Or
he was the sidekick, but they got rid of him for some reason. I don't remember why.
oh, okay, that's cool. Now, the strike system, where I believe this is out because it wasn't explained in the tutorial, so I died a few times wondering why I got killed. If
Yeah.
you Was that a complaint? The strike system, where if you don't click on the right item, Krusty will eventually kill you over time.
No, I don't think so. I think that's a pretty self-explanatory thing. I would like there's multiple choice. That means, but if you went to school, there's multiple choice, and there's always a wrong answer. So there's consequences if you pick the wrong thing. So I mean, I don't think people complained about that. I can understand why that would be annoying, especially I don't. Did we explain it? But we probably didn't. I guess I forgot. But I mean, no, I don't really. see that as an issue with the game, personally at least.
Oh, the game I was talking about earlier, the joy of creation. That was
The
what I
joy
was
of
talking about.
creation
The
that
looking
has
for the
a
objects. Yeah, that I
really. I didn't play that game, so I wouldn't
no, I
know.
believe no, it was nothing like the mini game, but it had you collecting objects in a free roam. So
Hmm.
yeah. So wrapping up, any last things you would like to say?
Um, play Five Nights to Remember when it comes out, and then play the new Finati when it comes out. Um, I mean that's about it. Yeah.
Well, guys, you heard it from himself. So remember to play the new
Oh, give me
games.
money. I want money. I like money too. Give me money. Keep giving us money on our post. Thanks.
Send him
I need
TikTok.
money.
Send him TikTok live money. Always
Yeah,
gotta feed him.
I love money, man. Oh, I love my wife. Love my wife. Hell yeah. That's about it. That's all I have to say.
Well, guys, that was Nocturna. I'm New Dude. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked it, please subscribe. It's been an hour and 7 minutes. But yeah, other than that, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.